Hey, this is Michael with XForcePC. We're going to talk about student and instructor workstations today. Right now, I am on the instructor station. So the instructor has full control over the student and can change the weather, can change the time of day, the location, can make equipment fail, and so forth. So what we're doing is we're running a copy of Xplane on both the instructor and the student workstation. And one thing I'll mention right off is the instructor station doesn't have to be a powerful gaming machine. And if it's not, you'll want to go to your rendering options and hit this button right here to set the scenery to the minimum scenery. That way it can run on a fairly slow machine. So just hit this set to minimum, and you'll actually probably want to restart the simulator when you do that so that all those changes will take effect. Now, to make this work, we go here to settings and net connections on both machines, both the student and the instructor. I am the instructor. So, as the instructor, I check this box here and I put in the IP address of the student's machine. Okay. And the student will open up this same window and will not check this. This will not be checked on there. You'll actually check this box on the student's machine and put the IP address of the instructor's machine here, which is this one, 192.168.0.7. So over on my student machine, this box is checked, this one is not, and right here, the IP address of the instructor station is typed in. And once we do that, we have full control over the student. Now we can see the location of the plane. There's no one controlling the student workstation right now. So the plane is just wandering in a circle because I don't have anyone on the student machine flying it at the moment. Now, if I want to change the location of where we are, I just go to load airport and I'm just going to go Seattle 10 nautical mile approach. Okay, so now we just changed locations. If I want to see what the student is seeing, I just close this local map, and this is what's happening on the student's machine right now. It's sitting right next to me. And so this is a copy of what they're seeing. Now, if you've turned your rendering options all the way down, it may not look as good as this does, but this is what the student is seeing. So you just spend most of your time on the local map right there. So we're back at the local map. Again, I said we can zoom in and zoom out, drag this all around. One thing you'll want to play with, you can set the time of day, so you can make it nighttime. But one good thing to play with is the weather. If we're trying to teach the student how to use their instruments, we can just drag this visibility all the way down. And now this is what the student is seeing. Very, very little. The visibility is extremely tight on this machine right now. I'm going to go back here to the local map where I said you'd spend most of your time and go back to the weather. And then I'm going to set it back to something, a little more normal. We can play with the cloud layers. So we can make different, cloud types, cloud layers. We have full control over that. The wind speed at different altitudes. So we can control all of this from the instructor station. And that's under set weather right here. Weight and fuel, pretty self-explanatory. We can change the weight and the fuel and the amount of fuel and so forth. We could, simulate the fuel suddenly, running out or leaking by changing the amount of fuel if we wanted to. Another thing you can do is fail equipment. This is a really big one. So if I want to make, let's say, the pilot's artificial horizon inoperative, so I just go over to the Instruments tab under Primary Instruments, Artificial Horizon inoperative. So if we go over here to and look at what the student is seeing, you'll notice his artificial horizon is not changing right here. You see? And that's because we failed it. So again, location, local map is where we're going to spend most of our time. Fail equipment, and I'm going to go ahead and make that work again. So now their artificial horizon does work. Now there's all different types of things you can fail. I can make an engine stop working. I can make things intermittent. Um, you can make some of the instruments intermittent. So there's a lot of different things you can do here uh, to kind of mess with the student and test their capabilities. Down here, we can control the speed of the simulation. Most of the time, you're either going to pause or unpause. So if you're needing to make a correction to the student or instruct them in some way, you can pause the simulation and it is paused now on the student's computer, and then you could give them any type of instruction that you want. Another thing you can do is drag the plane around. You can just drag it around and place it wherever you want in the world. And I didn't mean to do that just then, but I figured, heck, I drag the thing, I'll show you what I'm talking about. So you can drag the plane around and put it wherever you want. And of course, you can then unpause the simulation and continue on. The plane is about to fly into the mountains, so I'm going to go put it over here. Otherwise, we're going to fly that thing right into the mountains because don't have anybody on the student machine right now. So that's the majority of the functions. One other thing to point out, you have different types of maps here. It's showing you the same information, but the backdrop is different. For instance, on the textured, you're actually seeing a representation of the world on the textured map. So this is what the textures look like. And most of the time, you'd spend your time over on the high speed map, which doesn't take as long to respond. So there you have it. There's the instructor station, student station, how you get them connected. Most of the time, you're going to be messing with the weather, failing equipment on them. And remember, if you close this window, you will actually see what the student is seeing on their screen. And last but not least, remember, you're going to spend most of your time in the local map screen where you have access to all of this control over the student.